Did you know that most motorcycle engines don't die because they're worn out? They die because riders don't follow the right habits? It's true. While most bikes start falling apart after 60 to 100,000 miles, some riders have pushed their motorcycles well beyond 500,000 miles without a single major rebuild. The difference isn't luck, it's maintenance. In this video, we'll break down the 6 essential habits that can make your motorcycle outlive your car. And stick around till the end because the bonus tip could literally save your engine from self-destruction. Habit 1. Rethink your oil changes. The 5,000-mile rule is gold. Let's start with the lifeblood of your engine, oil. If you're still following the manufacturer's oil change interval, you might be setting your engine up for early failure. Why? Because most manufacturers want their bikes to look cheap to own, especially during the warranty period. They often recommend changing oil every 8 to 10,000 miles, but ask any long-distance rider who's hit 300k or more, and they'll tell you, change your oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles max, especially with synthetic. Motorcycle engines rev higher than cars, operate at higher compression, and often run hotter. That means oil breaks down faster. Let it go too long and you're circulating sludge, metal particles, and broken down additives that do more harm than good. And don't skimp on oil quality either. Always use full synthetic oil rated for motorcycles, not for cars, not generic blends. Stick with trusted names like Modal, Amsoil, or OEM branded synthetic oil. That one decision alone could extend engine life by tens of thousands of miles. Also, change the filter every time. A clean oil filter means circulation. Old filters clog. Clog filters bypass. And unfiltered oil is a death sentence for your engine bearings. Habit 2. Your chain is your lifeline. Treat it like one. If you've ever been bike sidelined with a snapped chain or a destroyed rear hub, you already know how critical chain care is. The motorcycle chain is one of the most stressed components on your bike, and sadly, one of the most neglected. Your chain is transferring all your power, handling all your acceleration and engine braking, and rotating thousands of times per ride. Neglecting it means more than just noise. It's chewing away at your sprockets, your hub, and even your engine's output shaft bearing. The rule here is simple. Clean and lube your chain every 500 to 600 miles. Use a proper chain cleaner, a good brush, and high-quality chain lube. Do it after riding in the rain. Do it after long dusty rides. And always check your chain tension every few weeks. Too loose, it can whip and derail. Too tight, it puts load on your bearings and suspension. A $20 can of lube and 15 minutes of your time can save you from a $500 repair and, more importantly, prevent a serious accident. Habit 3. Valve adjustments. The most ignored maintenance task. Let's talk valve clearances. If you ride a liquid-cooled engine, especially an inline-4, you cannot afford to ignore this one. Most motorcycles require a valve clearance inspection every 15,000 to 25,000 miles, but most owners skip it entirely. Why? Because it's time-consuming, expensive at the shop, and there are rarely any symptoms until it's too late. Here's the reality. Valve lash or valve clearance affects how well your valves seal when they open and close. If the gap is too small, your valves can't fully seat, meaning hot combustion gases start leaking past the valve. Over time, this burns the seal, reduces compression, and eventually destroys your cylinder head. Once that happens, you're looking at a multi-$1,000 rebuild, if you can even find the parts. For long-term reliability, get your valves checked on schedule. It's not glamorous, but it's what separates 70k mile bikes from 300k mile legends. Ask any Goldwing, BMW RT, or ST1300 rider who's been around the block. Habit 4. Coolant flushes. The silent killer you can't see. You check your oil. You check your tire pressure. Maybe you even replace your brake pads on time. But let me ask you something. When's the last time you flushed your coolant? If you're like most riders, the answer is probably never, and that's a problem. Coolant is one of the most misunderstood and neglected fluids in motorcycle maintenance. People assume it lasts forever, that it's just there to stop the bike from overheating. But the truth is, motorcycle coolant quietly degrades over time, and when it does, it becomes one of the most destructive fluids in your bike. Here's what actually happens. Modern coolants contain special additives to prevent corrosion, lubricate your water pump, and regulate internal temperatures. But those additives don't last forever. After 2 years or about 24,000 miles, they begin to break down. The coolant becomes acidic, and instead of protecting your engine, it starts eating it from the inside. We're talking pitted aluminum radiator cores, seized water pumps, corroded thermostat housings, and even blown head gaskets. Yes, that tiny plastic bottle of old coolant can lead to a $2,000 plus repair bill. It doesn't matter whether you ride a Kawasaki Ninja, a Honda Goldwing, a Yamaha R1, or a Suzuki V-Strom. Coolant failure is universal. And here's the worst part. You won't see it coming. Unlike oil, old coolant doesn't show obvious signs of failure. Your bike won't leak. The color may still look fine, but internally, it's turning acidic and corrosive with every heat cycle. That's why smart riders follow this rule. Flush your coolant every 2 years or 24,000 miles, whichever comes first. Not 3 years, not whenever you get around to it. Make sure it's part of your core maintenance schedule. When you flush, don't just drain and refill. Do a complete flush using distilled water to remove sediment and corrosion. Then refill with a motorcycle-specific coolant or OEM-approved brand. Don't mix types. HOAT, silicate, and ethylene glycol coolants don't mix. You'll get gelling, scaling, and worse damage than if you'd left the old coolant in. And yes, the $25 jug of Honda or Engine Ice coolant might seem expensive, but is 1,000 times cheaper than a warped cylinder head or a seized water pump shaft. If your bike has a coolant reservoir and it's low, don't just top it off blindly. Figure out why it's low. Because low coolant might be a leak, a blown gasket, or a cracked radiator. Small symptoms are early warnings, and riders who ignore them often regret it. So let's get real. If your bike is over 2 years old and you've never flushed the coolant, you're on borrowed time. Spend the hour, do the flush. Your engine and your wallet will thank you. Habit 5. Brake and clutch fluid. Flush every 2 years. No excuses. Brake and clutch fluid are often the forgotten fluids until your brakes feel soft or your clutch won't disengage properly. Here's the truth. These fluids absorb water over time. That moisture lowers their boiling point, leading to vapor lock in your brake lines during hard stops. And in hydraulic clutch systems, it causes slipping and inconsistent engagement. Worse, moisture causes internal corrosion. Master cylinders, slave cylinders, and calipers can all fail just because of old fluid. The solution? Flush your brake and clutch fluid every 2 years. Use fresh, unopened .4 or 5.1 depending on your manufacturer's spec. Don't reuse old bottles. Brake fluid pulls moisture straight from the air. If your brake has ABS, this is even more critical. Dirty brake fluid can damage the control module, a $1,000 plus component on modern bikes. Habit 6. Ride it right. Warm-ups, shifting, and red line discipline. You can change your oil on time. You can flush your coolant every 2 years. But if you ride like a maniac from a cold start, you're undoing all that maintenance, one throttle twist at a time. Here's the truth. How you ride matters just as much as what you replace. Every long-distance rider who's taken a motorcycle past 300,000 miles will say the same thing. Longevity comes from respect, not just repairs. Let's start with the most common mistake, revving a cold engine. When you hit that starter button, your engine oil is thick, pooled at the bottom, and hasn't reached the top end yet. Revving to 6,000 or more RPM in the first minute means metal-on-metal friction. Your cam lobes, piston rings, and bearings aren't fully lubricated, and that grind adds up over time, fast. Instead, follow the rule of patience. Put the bike idle for 30 to 60 seconds. Then, ride gently until the engine reaches operating temperature. That means keeping RPMs below 4,000, avoiding hard throttle inputs, and staying off the clutch until your gauges move or your coolant temp light turns off. And speaking of the clutch, be smooth. Don't yank it in and coast for long stretches. That wears your clutch springs and pressure plates unnecessarily. On the flip side, don't dump the clutch at stoplights like you're launching at the drag strip. Sudden engagement stresses your entire driveline. Chain, sprockets, transmission gears, even the frame. Downshifting? Yes, engine braking is great too when done right. But slamming multiple gears down without rev matching can jolt your gearbox and shock your rear wheel. That's how you wear out shift forks, snap clutch plates, or even lock the rear in bad conditions. Also, watch out for engine lugging. That's when you ride in high gear at low speeds, forcing the engine to work below its power band. It causes detonation, excessive vibration, and uneven fuel burn. Over time, that leads to damaged rod bearings, cracked piston rings, and even warped crankshafts. No joke. Smart riders shift with finesse. They know when to ride the torque curve and when to let the engine breathe. They don't chase the red line every ride, but they don't baby the bike constantly either. It's about balance, working with the machine, not against it. Think of it this way. Your engine is designed to handle performance, yes, but abuse? That's a different story. The difference between a bike that lasts 80,000 miles and one that survives 500,000 isn't just oil changes, it's how you treat it every time you throw a leg over the saddle. So, ride with intent, warm it up, shift clean, rev smart. You don't need to ride slow, you just need to ride smooth. Ride like you want your bike to outlive you, and it just might. Bonus habit. Log everything. Seriously, everything. Want to know the single best predictor of a long-lasting motorcycle? It's not the engine brand, it's not the oil type, it's whether the owner kept a logbook. Maintenance logs save lives, not just for resale, but for you. You can spot patterns, catch problems early, see when the brake pads wore faster than expected, or when a seal started leaking. Apps like Fuely, Motolog, or even a simple Google Sheet do the trick. You need to record oil changes, chain tension checks, tire changes, valve inspections, brake pad thickness, and any weird sounds or symptoms. A log turns you from a casual owner into a mechanical detective. It keeps you far ahead of expensive surprises. If you follow just these 6 habits and adopt the bonus log habit, your motorcycle can outlive most modern cars. 500,000 miles might sound insane, but it's been done. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Remember, your motorcycle is only as reliable as the habits you build. Treat it well, maintain it like you mean it, and it'll ride with you for decades. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share with a fellow rider who wants their bike to last forever.